One of the biggest questions that I get as a buyer's agent is whether people should put their money straight into shares or whether they should use that, say 100K as a deposit to buy property, and what is the benefit of buying property? All right, I'm gonna jump over to my laptop and I'm gonna show you using AI how this all works and what's better for you, to put $100,000 in property or $100,000 in shares. Let's do it. All right, so I've asked ChatGPT, I said, gee, tell me, I've got $100,000, where should I put my money? Should I put it in some shares or should I put it in some property? And so we've run two scenarios. One of the big things is leverage. Really, really hard to get leverage. So get a loan from the bank, really hard for shares, realistically, and it's a lot easier for property. So we're gonna run with a realistic scenario. We're getting leverage for property, and we're not going to get leverage for shares because that's the reality in Australia. And so let's look at this, right? We have $100,000 in our share portfolio, and we're going to assume that we get 8% returns, which includes some of the dividends that we've reinvested. Amazing. So at the end of the 30 years, we're going to have $1 million and 6,000, right? Which is fantastic. Easily live off that, right? And you can sell your shares, and obviously pay your tax and live off it. That's your retirement. Fantastic. So, you know, we've also factored in there, should have said this earlier, also factored in there that we've got 1% fees that we're paying for the brokers and all that jazz, right? Fantastic. So we're going to have, like I said, $1 million. Now let's look at the second scenario, which is the property. And I don't want to reveal everything, but if we have $100,000 in our property portfolio, well, we have $500,000 in our property portfolio. That's the value of the asset. We've gone to the bank and said, hey, $100,000 deposit. Now we want to buy a $500,000 property. With that, we've assumed that we're going to get 6% growth. And if you buy in really good locations, you can definitely get better than 6% growth, that's for sure. So the value of our property at 30 years time is going to be $2,873,000. So this is the power of leverage, and this is the reality in Australia. We're not going to get leverage for stocks, but we are going to get leverage for property. We're going to get a loan for property. That's just the reality. Not only that, we as investors will get rental return. So we've assumed a 3% rental return, which works out to be over a 30-year period, $1.3 million, which is amazing. And the total, including the interest to be paid off, is, so principal and interest is nearly $900,000, right? Which is fine. And realistically, it's going to be paid by the rent. Amazing. We've also assumed 1% maintenance fees. So to fix whatever the tenants want, the upkeep, the property maintenance, all of that jazz, we've assumed 1%. Of the property price, that is, right? Which I think is pretty fair. So at the end, minus all your maintenance, the property is going to be worth, so it's property value minus the maintenance, that is going to be, you're going to be $2.4 million ahead with that $100,000. So if you just do simple calculations, you know, $2,400,000 minus $100,000 that you put in, you're winning, right? By what? $2.3 million. So that's the power of leverage. And, you know, when it comes to investing your money, it's all about leverage. How can you leverage it and get the biggest return? So really hard to do with stocks, super easy to do with property. And if you need somebody to give you a hand, let me know.